Haima Moore and Moore Gillespie join us now. Haima is the former director of the Office of the DNC Chair. Jamie Harrison, Moore previously served as an advisor to former Republican House Speaker John Boehner and former Republican Congressman Adam Kinzinger. Great to have you both here with us. We'll begin with you, with the DNC. Yep. You know the DNC as well as anybody.
I think so.
What's the real story here? We hear all these different names. Not everybody knows the names. So you've been inside the building. What's your take?
I mean, look, I think we have a good crop of candidates that are running to be the chairman. I think first and foremost, my former boss, Jamie Harrison, has left the DNC in a much better place than it was 4 or 5 years ago. So I think that's the bottom line. The second thing is you look at Ken Martin, you look at Ben Wickler. These two guys have been in the trenches for many, many cycles right now. You know, you mentioned earlier that we don't have a fundraising juggernaut. Ken Martin raised so much money for the campaign, maybe $3 or $4 million just himself over the last year. And so you look at Ken, you look at Ben, you look at Martin O'Malley and these other guys, and I think the party has a chance to really recapture some of those losses that we expressed in this last election. Now, we don't have a celebrity. We talked about that. I think if a Stacey Abrams decided to come into the race today...
Is there a chance someone new comes in?
I mean, of course. You know, today in the rules and bylaws, they extended the deadline, so there's still time for someone to enter the race. You know, if a Stacey Abrams comes in the race or Keisha Lance Bottoms, someone like that, of that caliber, that could shake it up right now. But as it stands, I do think the race is between Ken and Ben.
Maura, you've worked in the Republican Party at a very high level. Do parties matter anymore, especially on the Republican side? Yes, the RNC exists and it has power to a point, but outside influences like Elon Musk have so much power in terms of organizing and fundraising. How do you see that dynamic moving forward for both Democrats at the DNC and the RNC?
It's certainly going to matter moving forward. I think on the DNC front, you know, if somebody like a Stacey Abrams were to come in, I think that does tarnish the Dems' argument about, you know, the election lies and being willing to say you've lost an election and accept a loss. And I think that's an important part to point out. I think with the RNC side, you know, for Republicans right now, it is Trump's world that we are living in as far as the party goes. He did take over the RNC. He flushed out, you know, a good chunk of the former staffers that worked there by emplacing his daughter-in-law to be the co-chair of the RNC. And so we will see how this plays out beyond this moment. But in this moment, yes, the Elon Musks of the world have a lot of influence. And the parties will live beyond Donald Trump. They'll live beyond this moment. So I think that we need to have people in there who understand the longevity of a campaign and of a political arm and why that matters.
There's a lot of talk still of this killing of the UnitedHealth CEO. Let's listen to what the Congresswoman from New York, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, had to say.
This is not to say that an act of violence is justified, but I think for anyone who is confused or shocked or appalled, they need to understand that people interpret and feel and experience denied claims as an act of violence against them.
What's your take on Representative Ocasio-Cortez and how she's framing some reaction to the death of the executive?
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for the representative, for the Congresswoman. But look, at the end of the day, it is never okay to kill someone. It doesn't matter what your grievance is. You do not have the agency or the right to take someone's life. That's just a fact. Now, if we extend the conversation toward health care, and I said this just a couple of days ago, look, I have a sick dad in Louisiana, and we deal with this all the time. We've been delayed, we've been denied, but I've never felt an urge to go and kill someone. And so I think you have to separate the issues. There is a huge issue with the way we administer health care and health care insurance in this country. In this country, and we've got to talk about that a little bit more seriously. But it does not ever give the right for someone to take a life, and I think that's just the reality of it. So you think about healthcare companies; they become a monopoly in some ways. This should be about health and wellness, not about making a profit. And so I think if we can have that conversation in Congress or in the states, in the cities, in a more thoughtful manner, that's going to be welcomed by a lot of people.
Maura, any thoughts?
I have plenty of thoughts on this matter. I don't think that we should ever condone, accept, tolerate political violence. And the fact that we are even having this conversation is, again, showing that we have, in a large way, since January 6th, allowed it to be okay. We've started to normalize political violence in this way by equating it with, well, the election was stolen and they were angry, or healthcare is a problem. We have plenty of issues in our healthcare system. Again, quantifying and qualifying political violence is never okay, and we as a society need to step up and say this is not how we should be doing things. America is better than this, and yet we continue to allow to be derailed and to tolerate political violence in this way. And January 6th, we've watched when the former president was targeted and shot. It largely was ignored after 2 weeks. We moved on in the election cycle, we moved on in the news cycle, and we can't normalize it. No matter what you think of the target, the very fact that they are being targeted because of their leadership or positions they've taken doesn't make it okay, and we should all stand up against it.
We'll leave it there. Maura Gillespie and Haima Moore, we appreciate you stopping by and offering your insights here on America Says. Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
to see you both.